Hello, everybody. This is Alex from Montekristo podcast, and then today we have a really special guest. We have Mr. Tory Bjorklund with us, the CEO and founder of Victoria Fight, a SaaS agency that's been doing some amazing things, and that's why we're here to dive a little bit deeper into what you guys have been doing and what you have planned for the future. So, without further ado, sir, the floor is yours. If you mind just sharing a little bit of info about your background, your history, and then your company as well.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Um, yeah, so I've been involved in technology for many years. I started my first company in 1987. My first consulting company. It actually wasn't my first company, but my first consulting company in
Yeah.
1987. And uh, I've been really kind of a serial entrepreneur. And during that time, mostly in the consulting space and technology space, we did infrastructure,
Hmm.
one of the early Novell network companies in
Yeah.
Minnesota, and worked a lot with manufacturing and engineering companies. In the mid 90s, one of my clients from an engineering company approached me and wanted to start a technology company that built technology for
Hmm.
manufacturing. And we started the Agard Group. At that point, I sold my consulting company, and I had a software company also, Simplicity Software. I sold the assets from that,
Hmm.
and we started a manufacturing company. The reason I bring that up is because I've been on the other side of the table, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and the Agard Group is a small manufacturing company that makes capital equipment, primarily case packers, palletizers, primary packaging machinery, that sort of thing. And and then in 2012, I left Agard and started another company. I actually joined a company that had been going for about a
Okay.
year, called Stoneridge Software. Became a
Okay.
partner in that, and then started another software company along with Stoneridge Software called Leverage that built back end software for ag companies. And then this is my technically my seventh company that I started, Victoriafied. And the
Okay.
reason really for starting Victoriafied over a period of time, um, I with my early consulting, we
Hmm.
we found some real good success with implementing ERP systems and other engineering, manufacturing execution systems, warehouse management, and so forth. And then I started getting involved through my software company that we sold a software product that IBM was selling, and started getting involved in larger enterprise
Hmm.
implementations and saw a lot of really big failures, if you will.
Okay.
And and then in my stint with at Agard, we were implementing an ERP system there, and it was just the partners that we were working with, the implementation consulting companies, they just really difficult to be successful with the model they were
Got it.
using. And so then when I joined Stone Ridge, I thought, I really want to change this model, but I wasn't really
Yeah.
able to make the traction that I wanted. So I decided to start Victoriafied with the sole purpose of changing how consulting is done for the implementation of significant technology initiatives.
Yes.
Today, the buzzword is digital transformation, and when companies are doing something that's actually transformative for their company based on technology, the success rate, depending on who you look at, they're anywhere from uh, 30 down to 5%. Or
Yeah.
to say it a different way, 70% failure. Pretty much that's everybody accepts that number. Some
Yeah.
go as high as 95% failure with significant digital transformation initiatives. So I started Victoriafied to really change that statistic and to show that it can be done. I've done it. I kind of in the past I kind of stumbled on it in my early years of consulting,
Hmm.
and we had a lot of successes. And then I saw what causes failures, and then worked hard to figure out what really makes for success, and then developed a process for transformational success, um, and and then folded that process into our process at Victoriafied.
Got it. That's amazing. And then you guys are pretty successful now. And then how important would you say was that you had so many experiences prior to starting your own company with, working alongside different people and in different places and then understanding, getting that kind of base of knowledge and then putting it all out there into that company that you started into Victoria Fied and then implementing everything that you have learned throughout the past.
Yeah, and and to be fair, it's really not just what I've learned. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of good information, there's a lot of body of knowledge out there, but part of the problem with that body of knowledge is it's kind of academic, and how you get that into
The real world,
everyday,
yes.
yeah, in the real world, is kind of the secret sauce, and something that we've managed to do. And really, what I saw with consulting companies is all the consulting companies have their process, and they lay it out, and it looks good on paper, you know.
Yeah.
But then when it really comes down to it, number one, they don't follow it. Number two, their clients don't want them to follow it because they think it's going to cost them money. They never really show the value of that process. And so everybody abandons the process, and it becomes a free for all, and it just becomes a disaster.
Got it, got it. And then last time we spoke, you mentioned that the first business that you opened that you were working with had nothing to do with either consulting
Yeah.
or tech or whatever. It
Yeah.
was, but from my perspective, it was something that kind of taught you about how the real world works. And that's probably something that helped you along the way in the future from that point to kind of understand some things from a different angle, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Yeah, for sure, Alex. That's true. And really, I'm kind of a non-traditional person in that
Hmm.
I did not go to college route. I did not.
Yeah.
I don't have a degree. I learned technology over the years entirely on my own, and
Hmm.
started several technology companies. Um, and uh, but as a result, it really made me have to learn how to boil things down into, real world activities. So
Got it.
basically, if I come looking for a job, or if with my business, I have to produce results, and I have to think about
Got it.
what's going to make the results. And I guess I have the kind of personality and brain that sees the abstract, but then can draw connect the dots to the actual concrete of how to make this work in the real world.
I understand. Got it. And then obviously, you being the owner of the company, when people come to you right now or even before when they are applying for a job or a position, do you consider that college route necessary or you just care about who the person is and if they can provide results for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first thing yeah, if I see somebody has a college degree, the first thing it tells me is that they can do something, stick to something long enough to get that degree. So that's an
Okay.
important characteristic, right? So it,
Yeah.
it tells me a little something about their character, but it doesn't tell me what they know or what they don't.
Got it.
So then what I'm looking at is, what have you done? What have you
Okay.
accomplished? And I hired a young man right out of college, and you might be able to say, well, he's never really done anything to prove himself,
Yeah.
but he did projects in college. But not only did he do projects in college, since he graduated, he was working on stuff. And I
Got
look
it.
for people that love what they do, because then
Hmm.
they're going to invest in it whether they're getting paid for it or not. And then
Hmm.
if I can just, hook my wagon to their motivation, um,
Yeah.
and then it's going to benefit my company, it's going to benefit my clients, because, the people that are working for me love what they're doing for the client.
Got it. So you basically feel like, being proactive and then open to learning is way more important rather than having, some piece of paper or you having any background, the fact that the thing that you think is the most important is, being proactive and then willing to learn from the people that are obviously ahead of you on that in that direction.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think technically, I think the term for that is autodidact. There's self-learning person.
Okay.
You,
Yeah.
you might need to Google that to check me out on that.
Okay.
I
No
I
worries.
think
We're on
that's
the
what it
same
is.
page.
Uh,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Got it. That's awesome. And then how many employees do you have right now under you at Victoria 5?
Yeah, so well, first of all, under me, I actually have a COO that people report to.
Hmm.
I don't I try to keep that at a limitation. At one point when I was at Agard, I had 25 direct reports, and all I did was manage people, and
Yeah.
I don't enjoy that. But no, we're a small startup company,
Hmm.
and so we have. People right now. We have 8 people in the company. We shrink and grow and whatnot
Hmm.
based on the projects that we have. Um, and so we have a fairly large consortium of people that we work with 1099 people,
Okay.
so with that as subcontractors and so forth. Um, and frankly, last year was actually a pretty difficult year in our economy here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And so we shrank. We had 14 people in the company. We just started this, by the way. 2022 was our first year of
Yeah.
business. So we're just 3 years old. At
Got
this
it.
point.
Got it. But you've been growing ever since, so
Yeah,
that's a good
yeah,
sign.
yeah, for sure. And we work a lot of what we do is kind of at the leadership level on these projects,
Hmm.
and then we bring in a lot of consultants that have special expertise in certain areas.
Got it. Got it. And then when we talked prior, you said you have 8 people and then all of you work remotely. And then
Yeah.
from your experience, because probably, back in the day when you were working for all these companies, or rather, is it you opening them or working for them, remote work was not a thing. So a lot of
No.
you probably came to the office and then, did your thing.
Yeah.
So how would you compare those two? How would you compare that freedom of working remotely and then being in a place that you want and then having your colleagues? And then how do you think that affected relationships, if any?
Yeah. So so first of all, face to face is always better from a relational perspective. Um,
Yeah.
and also, you have meetings like we're virtually face to face, right? But when
Yes.
we get done with this, we're not going to go have a cup of coffee together. We're not going to have
Yes.
lunch together or something like that. And so in terms of building those relationships and building trust and whatnot, which is an important aspect of
Yeah.
projects, it's hard to beat face to face. But in terms of the value,
Hmm.
I, I really started working remotely in 2010
Hmm.
and 2011, but clients were not that they wanted you there
Yeah.
and I would explain to them that yeah, there's times when I should be on site or my employees should be on site, but
Yeah.
really not necessary. But if you want, that's fine, and here's what it's going to cost. Then what ended up happening, of course, with COVID was that was the only option. And now
Yes,
clients are
exactly.
like, you don't need to be here. We don't.
Yeah.
And so now it's gone the other way. And I'm like, there's certain times when it really makes sense to have somebody on site and for certain occasions, for certain meetings or whatever. And so we're on site occasionally, but not very often. We're mostly not on site. But also then with the company, we have quarterly meetings where we get together as
Yeah.
a company every single quarter, and at a single point, a single location. So we're face
Yeah.
to face and have our quarterly meetings. That's to build that kind of team camaraderie and that sort of thing.
Got it.
So we,
Got
we,
it.
we
Got it.
have to
Got it.
be purposeful about it, and so it costs us something. So if there's trade-offs, right? If we had
Obviously, yes.
a central location, well, then we'd be hiring people and asking them to relocate.
Hmm.
Um, or we can have everybody remote. We're, 100% virtual company, but then quarterly we come together for a weekend. And every the summer quarter and the winter quarter, we have them bring their families with as well. So it costs a little
Awesome.
bit, but yeah, when we had 14 people in the
Yeah.
company, and we brought all the families, including their kids and everything,
Yeah, it was 100 people almost.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it was a great time.
Yeah, and those are the things that you tend to remember when the time
Right.
goes on, right? You don't remember that so many like business things that you have, even if you had great accomplishments, those are the things that you probably remember. So,
Yeah, and you develop those kind of relationships that are really
yeah.
good for collaboration. We've
Yeah.
done fun things like we've had projects with like Lego projects
Hmm.
that and then have to define requirements and those sorts of things,
Yeah.
and just getting people involved. And then also the funny thing was we would assign project managers who've never been a project manager. Our HR
Yeah.
person was a project manager on this assignment. Our
Yeah.
marketing person was one of the project managers, and then they had to manage this Lego project with you have high powered consultants that are tech consultants having to build Lego stuff and take direction from a project manager. But they learned the principles apply, the principles that we utilize for successful projects apply in collaborative, uh, even games.
Got it. Got it. Got it. That makes sense. That's awesome. And then to go a little bit deeper into when you started, so you said you started at 2022, and then how was it to, start something brand new, build a team of your own, and then start looking for clients? Was it, was your initial strategy go to your contacts, the people that you already know, word of mouth referrals, and then try to get into the business, or what was that like for you?
Uh, yeah, and so I had two partners that I started this with.
Okay.
I bought out one of them here this last year, but
Hmm.
I still have a partner
Hmm.
who's my chief operating officer. But the three of us concepted this company over a period of about a year. And
Okay.
the one thing that we knew, we knew how to deliver the projects. One thing we didn't know is how to market and sell the concept.
Okay.
And
Got it.
and so and in the past, I've always had other people involved in the sales. I actually have been more the technical person and not so much the sales, and
Got
not
it.
the marketing. So I've had other people take care of that. So in this business, um, it's really been a challenge to build that funnel, and I've had to learn a lot and stretch a lot on how to do the marketing, how to bring in sales. So we started out, we had quite a bit of pent up demand um,
Hmm.
with with my contacts in the industry, and I
Hmm.
just had a lot of people that were excited about the company. So right away we started off with a bang. And our first year of business, we did over $1 million, and second year we were on track for 3 million, and then we lost a big contract in towards the end of that year, but
Hmm.
still 2.8 million or something like that. But
Yep.
the we were uh, what I could see was the the people and contacts that I had. I was chewing that up, and
Yeah.
we were delivering, and we were knocking it out of the park when it came to delivery. But the actual messaging and marketing, we were really struggling with.
Got it. Got it. And then how, just to kind of go back to how important it is for you to kind of keep your, head level, and then to be calm when those things, when you lose a big contract, things change, clients leave, maybe even employees leave, something happens. How important was for you to, just remain calm as a business owner, as somebody that's in charge, and then somebody, everybody is going to look at you, everybody's going to come with a problem, and then if they have a problem, they're going to come to you, right? So
Yeah,
how important was for you to remain calm and then just,
yeah.
do your thing and then continue building?
Yeah, there's probably three aspects there that I'd point out. Number one was you have to be realistic. You have to be transparent. I couldn't
Got
say,
it.
hey, things are going great. I had to admit reality here.
Hmm.
We had from this one client we were doing a lot of work for, and the economy, the cost of capital got too high, and they just had to stop these projects. And we had over $2 million in the pipeline of verbally approved projects,
Hmm.
and almost $1 million in signed statements of work. And so when they needed to stop the projects, it was like, okay, this is reality. We need to try to backfill this, and so the first thing you have to do is just be realistic and transparent. Number two is as a leader, you have to cast a vision. You have to say, okay, this is what I'm planning to do. These are the steps I'm planning to take, in order to try to keep everybody on. If and because the intent was, we had a great team. I didn't want to lose anybody, and
Yeah.
and so I had to lay out a vision for people to stay with us. And the third thing is, it's really tempting to abandon the vision of the company and take anything that comes. It's like, what whatever, let's we'll all drive Uber or something. There's anything
Got
that
it.
brings revenue. Well, it's really tempting to water down the vision of the company. But the reality is, the company was all about bringing success with digital transformation. And we could sell software or something, but that's not what we're about. And so really maintaining the vision for the company was one of the more challenging aspects during that time.
Got it. Got it. Awesome. And then let's go kind of back to what you said, that marketing and sales were not your thing. You didn't know how to, market yourself, how to
Right?
get yourself out there, but you had a amazing delivery system. You were doing a lot of great things for your clients. So how did you handle that marketing thing? How did you start, implementing all those taxes that helped you kind of get more clients and then become visible to the market?
Yeah. The big thing is consistency.
Okay.
And now we're probably talking about the area of your expertise, so you know all of this, but I had to learn it. The big thing is consistency,
Okay.
and frankly, it felt odd to me, for example, to spend time on LinkedIn. It's like I come to work. I'm not going to come to work and jump on Facebook and chat with my
Yeah.
friends, right?
Yeah.
But I'm coming to work and I'm jumping on LinkedIn and I'm chatting with my friends, basically.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really, chat, although there is a lot of that. I do a lot of connecting since we're virtual, and we were starting on the tail end of COVID, in a virtual world. I had to consistently stay in touch with people, that could potentially bring business to me. And in fact, virtually 100% of our business comes through referral anyway. And
Got
so
it.
we got to maintain that. So the other thing is, being a thought leader, and part of being a thought leader is continuously putting your thoughts out there. You can't write one article or write one book or write whatever and just be that's it and put it out there. And you have to continuously put stuff out there, and particularly, unfortunately, you have to understand the algorithms. You have to try to work with the algorithms that get in front of people. You have to understand things like SEO. You have to understand that the LinkedIn algorithm. You have to learn about the value of boosting versus advertising and those kinds of things. So it really was. I had to recognize it's a long game. It's not something where I'm looking for my next, or my next gig, or my next client. I am looking for my next client, but the way to get the next client is to build that credibility online, to get people that are excited about what we're doing, get them to talk about us to our next client. Really is one way to look at it. So that was a big part of it. The other thing is, it's changed. The industry has changed, and you probably recognize this. But what used to work doesn't work anymore. And
Yeah.
one of the things I'm finding interesting, and we did a lot of experimentation of the same message with different artwork and things like that.
Hmm.
One of the things that we found is that the world out there is tired of high polished things. They're,
Yes.
if it's polished, they think it's fake, you know.
Yeah, it
And
becomes
so
suspicious.
yeah, they become suspicious about it right away, and so we found lower produced videos,
Yeah.
portrait portrait video versus landscape. I mean, who knew? Who would have thought?
Yeah.
If you record it on your, as a selfie on your phone, it's going to get more impressions and more interaction. Keeping it short, I always knew that. People don't want to hear you drone on and on about something, but the artwork, just sketches rather than
Yeah.
quick artwork, those kinds of things. So the game has changed. And the other thing with AI is so I use an AI product to basically filter my inbox and manage my inbox. Now,
Yeah.
I still have junk, a junk filter. I still have security type filters and things like that. But beyond that, I've got an AI bot running, looking at every email that comes in and determining what I need to see and what I don't. And
I understand,
with
yes.
that, if you're sending out email, you're competing with, I mean, you've got to get either past that bot or whatever as well. So all of the direct mail, the outreaches, everything has changed significantly just in the last
Yes.
few years. And I had to learn all of that. But I also found, had to learn that the people that used to be experts aren't necessarily experts anymore.
Yes.
It used to
Yes, that's
work
true.
and it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. And then it's amazing to see that, even after this is your business number nine, as you said, right? And then
Seven. Yeah.
seven, sorry. So, even after, six, seven businesses, and then all of them were pretty successful, more or less, you still find a lot of time to learn and then invest time into, gaining new knowledges, sharpening your skills even more, and then following the directions that the new technologies are taking us in. So you still continue to understand what is better, how to do this, how to do that, which is amazing. And then I feel like a lot of people get lost in that transition with they don't even know what's going on anymore. A lot of new stuff is coming up, a lot of new technologies are coming up, and they're like lost and what it is that I need to do. How do I keep running and how do I keep on producing and providing these results if I don't understand what's going on? So I
Yeah.
feel like it's really impressive that you managed to kind of tackle that right away and then, still be able to produce and then become even bigger and better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of that personality we were talking about, the autodidact,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I'm continuously learning. I can't stop learning. It's just part of who I am. But
Yeah.
also, if I don't learn, I'm not gonna win, so to speak.
Got it.
I don't, none of my businesses had to go bankrupt or shut down, for financial reasons. And I don't want this, I don't want this to be the one that, I blow my fortune on and then
Yeah.
go out of business. So I have to adapt and learn and that sort of a thing. But it's also just part of my DNA. I just can't not do
Understood.
that. So
Understood. And then talking about the industry and then some trends that you have seen recently, what are your thoughts? So touch a little bit on AI. Are you a fan of it? Are you against it? And then talk about how your industry has changed. It can be by AI or something else, but just talk about what are some things that you see that you are a fan of or maybe against.
yeah. So well, first, obviously, you got to talk about AI.
Yeah.
And AI is changing the game, changing everything. And
Yeah.
am I a fan? It's mixed. But here's the thing: there's been a lot of buzz in the technology industry. There's always buzz, and
Yeah.
and some of it's you have to get on. Cloud computing, for example. But some of it was more buzz than necessary, like blockchain, for example. A lot
Yeah.
of people use blockchain, but they don't know it. I mean, people
Yeah, they
didn't
don't
even know
understand
about it.
it a bit. Yeah.
Nobody needed to talk about that. No, not to the consumer. Consumers don't need to know anything about blockchain, right?
Yes.
AI is different. There's two aspects of it. Number one is going to change your life. If it doesn't, you're going to get lost. And so you need to learn how to use AI and use it. I use AI every day in lots of different ways. Um,
Got it.
and we can talk a little bit about that. But then it's changing the products as well. And so, like if you're at a manufacturing company, let's say you're a chief operating officer at a manufacturing company, and you can go to IT or a CEO at a manufacturing company. You can go to your IT department and say, "What's our AI strategy?" or something like that. That's just not even an answerable question because
Yes.
number one, it's like, well, the most of your products are provided by a software vendor. Most of the products that you're using that are technology products, and so you need to be asking your ERP vendor, what's your AI strategy? Where do you plan to use? You need to ask your CRM vendor, where do you plan to implement and utilize it? What's your roadmap for implementing AI into this product? How are we going to be able to take advantage of that? So that's one side of it. But on the other side of it, um, for example, I use AI a lot to ask questions. So I say I want to put up a post on LinkedIn. I write up a post. I might even ask AI. And by the way, I use a lot of different agents.
Got it.
And I try
A
different
lot of
ones.
different tools. Yeah.
And so anyway, I might ask it, give me some ideas about this topic that I could write on. And I'll get a list of, maybe five of them, let's say. And I take those five ideas. And so I write something. And then I say, okay, if you are, and I'll upload it to AI and I'll say, imagine you're a CEO of a mid-market manufacturing company.
Got
Um,
it.
what questions do you have about this article?
Yeah.
Or and those kinds of things. So using AI to brainstorm and to get feedback,
Yes.
to verify things, um, that's a great use, and people should be using it, basically in that type of a
Yes.
way every single day. I'm in the
Yes.
process of writing a book. I upload the book
Amazing.
periodically, and I say, okay, in this chapter, upload a
Yeah.
chapter, and I say,
What do you
hey,
think?
yeah, what questions did I, raise with this that I didn't address? What information did you learn that was helpful from this?
Yeah.
And you ask it to become a certain persona. And there are certain AI agents that are trained on different personas, and you can get those and utilize that. So anyway, those kind of uses every day, particularly if you have to be creative in some way. I use AI to do code reviews.
Okay.
Occasionally I'll write code. I don't get much chance. I love writing code, but I don't get much chance to do it. Uh, but I do it a little bit in the evenings or something for fun. I'll have AI actually do a code review on my code, and it'll tell me what I can improve and where
Yeah.
potential gotchas are, things like that. So using it that way, everybody needs to find out how they could use it in their, what they're doing. I mean, even if you're a
Yeah.
carpenter, for example, um,
Yeah.
you could say, here's how I do this. Are there other ways to do these sorts of things? Electrician,
Yeah. And then
whatever.
got it. And then I feel like AI is kind of like a mentor that's constantly by your side that you can ask anything. And then,
Yeah,
that's something that, people before I don't know, 2, 3 years or even a year, they didn't have it. It
right.
was simple, you go to the internet when the internet was a thing, or read books, or talk to people, or look for a mentor. But it's extremely hard to find a one, and then especially a good one. It's extremely rare and hard to find. Whereas now with AI, you can literally have this digital type of a mentor that has answers to all of your questions, and then if you are skilled enough to ask good questions, to ask specific questions, and then get specific answers,
Yeah,
I feel like that can be a game changer for a lot of people that learn how to utilize it and use it.
right. And then I've used it. for entertainment because, as I mentioned, I'm just constantly learning. So a while back, I was driving to Michigan to visit a friend, and
Hmm.
it's a long drive, and I was by myself, and I realized, well, I've got Gemini, which is Google's
Yeah.
AI
AI.
agent, and so I'm like, hey, Google, I've been for years. I've wanted to learn more about dark energy and dark matter and quantum
Hmm.
physics and stuff, and I've just never had the time to really dig into that. But it's
Yeah.
a topic I've been interested in. I just started asking it. Tell me about dark matter. Tell me about dark energy. How do we know it
Yeah.
exists? Do we know it exists? Right? And just start asking it questions. And as it gives me information, I probably did 8 or 9 hours of learning about quantum physics
Yeah.
just from AI.
Yeah, amazing. And then, the good thing is that you can react as soon as a thought hits your head, hits your mind, you can react immediately. You don't even have to go to do your own research, go to the library, whatever it is. You can
Yep.
straight go into it, which is amazing. And
The other
then,
thing that people should be doing if you're involved in meetings at all and stuff is using a
mhm,
meeting note taker. But
yes.
the one thing that I do, I use one in particular, Fathom. I'll just say what it is. But
Yeah.
and one of the reasons is that you can ask it questions about meetings or a set of meetings and things like that. But you can do that with
Yes.
basically you can take a transcript from a meeting and upload it to if you're using Copilot or ChatGPT or whatever. Copilot technically uses OpenAI, but anyway, and you can upload it and then ask it questions about, in this meeting, what were some of the takeaways or what were the to-dos or what did I commit to or whatever. And, I just, there's so much I get back from the meetings. I record all of my meetings now with my AI note taker. And then next time for example, if I'm meeting again with somebody as a follow up, I can go back to that and just simply ask it, what are the things that I promised to do, and then make sure that,
Yes.
you know, I've got them done, or if I don't have them done, to get them done. Those kinds of
Yes.
things, and I've many times been in meetings where somebody said, well, we agreed on this or that or whatever, and I've got the old meeting up in my AI agent, and I just say, what did we agree about this topic, and boom, I get it, and it takes me right to that where I can replay it or
Hmm.
bring it up in the transcript. So anyway,
Got it.
those kinds of tools, everybody should be thinking about how they can utilize to make their life easier. I don't think
Yes.
AI is going to replace people. I mean, even like if you count on what's generated by AI, like for example, if you say I don't need an attorney, I'll just have AI write, my contract or something, you're going to be in deep trouble. So,
Yes.
you don't want to rely on AI, but
Yes.
you want to utilize AI as a tool, and it's not going to
Yeah.
replace people. It's going to make people more efficient, though, more effective
Yeah.
jobs.
I feel like if we would to make an analogy, AI should be a gym that you go to get stronger, not a walking stick that you rely on completely and forget how to walk.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that's a
Yeah.
good analogy.
Yeah. Okay. So, sir, we can talk about hours about this, but let's talk about what is next for your company. What are your goals for the future? What is next for you?
Yeah. So we have basically in our practice, we have three basic practices in our company. One,
Hmm.
I just refer to them, we're all friends here, so I'll just use our internal language, business
Yeah.
delivery, project delivery, and technology delivery, or technical delivery. And basically, business delivery is where we have people, business process uh, consultants that help with process improvement and optimization and that sort of a thing. We have in the project delivery, it's project, product, and portfolio management and organizational change management, that sort of thing. And then the technology delivery, we just brought on a new enterprise architecture director, or director of enterprise architecture. And in larger organizations in particular, there's a need for enterprise architecture and that as a practice. And so we're really leaning into that and enhancing that aspect of our business. The one thing
Mhm.
that I want to, you had asked earlier about what's changing in our industry or what has changed.
Yes.
And one of the things that I want to see change is the consulting industry really is siloed, and they have people like that know one product, and 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 they're almost useless, um, except if you can tell them how you want to configure the product, or they know how to configure the product. You have to tell them what you want it to do. But if you ask them, for example, and this is a real example that happened to me when I was at the manufacturing company, and we had internal discussions about product numbering, and should you use smart numbering or not, and those sorts of things. And I was not a fan of smart numbering, and anyway, the consultant came in and we were putting in a new ERP system, and I said, what do you think about product numbering and what you've learned about us? Do you think we should use smart numbering or not? And their answer was, well, you can do it any way you want. You tell me how to do it and
Yeah.
I'll configure it. So one of the things that I really want to see change is that and that we're doing as a company is really bringing all of those disciplines together, where you have people that are business specialists that understand the technology people that
Understand.
understand the
And
business,
the business side of things, understand.
and standing in that gap. And traditionally we've referred to that in the industry as IT alignment, um, and getting the IT, the technical people in alignment with the business goals and objectives. But really, consultants really should be the ones straddling that gap, if you will,
Yeah,
for the
got it.
clients. I mean, you can find technical people, and you have the company, the people that are running the company. They need people that can stand in that gap, and that's really where we come in and what we're really leaning into.
Understood. Understood. That's awesome. And then the way you put it and phrase it makes it very clear for people that are obviously into business, but people that are not into business also, they can understand you perfectly because, you're talking about just bridging the gaps between, people that are looking for service and the people that are providing service.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So your goal right now is to expand, get more clients, and then
Yeah, right.
constantly grow, right?
Yeah, so our 10-year goal when we started the company was to actually be able to. So the Standish Group does a survey every year, and they publish what they call the Chaos Report, which they say here's the percent of projects that fail versus succeed, and they put out a lot of.
Yes.
Their other Gartner Group does the same thing. There are a lot of these. We want as a company, we want to see those numbers start changing, and the way those numbers are going to start changing is if we are succeeding 95% of the time. And
Hmm.
success, by the way, we measure success based on our client criteria, not
Got
so.
it.
If you ask a consulting company how many successes do you have, what percentage, they'll say like 80%, and what they mean is 80% of their projects went live. 20% didn't even go, use the software. They closed it down before they got done. But then you say, okay, if you were on time and on budget, what percent? Now you're looking at maybe 5%
Got it.
from your original budget, right? So if our clients say, well, here's what our success criteria is, we have to do it for this amount of money, get it done by this time, and these are the KPIs that we expect to see. Maybe it's more revenue per FTE or whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish, scalability or those sorts of things, and how they would measure that. We want to see 95% actually meet all of that criteria. Well, if we're
Got it.
doing that, other consulting companies are going to start saying, what's their methodology for doing that, and how can we do that? And we'll start seeing the industry numbers start changing. And the industry will change by beginning to adopt the methodology that we use. And we're already seeing that. I have next week, I have a meeting with a founder of another consulting group, and he's saying, hey, I'd like you guys to train our consultants to do what you guys do. And
Yeah, which is a great honor, I
yeah,
feel.
it is. It really is. And so that's really where I'd like to see this go. Where we want to go as a company is we want to actually change the industry, the way
I understand.
consulting is done.
I understand. That's amazing, sir. And then, as I said, we could, probably talk about this for hours
Yeah,
because you have a lot of experience and a lot of stories to share. And then a lot of, every viewpoint and insight that you have was shaped by, so many conversation and experiences that is, rock solid. So that's amazing. And then it's been a privilege to have you and understand your angles and then your experiences. So just, I'm in my head right now and thinking about what can we talk about next. But in my mind, we already, covered a lot of ground, a lot of
yeah,
things, and then you shared your story, to the point where it's much more clear now. So I feel like, we should just wrap it up and leave it as it is.
sure.
And then, sir, I will be, as I've said, it's an honor and privilege to have you, and then I'll be open to having another podcast in the future, and then just circling back around these things as some things
Yeah,
probably are going to change even more. So
yeah, I'd
as
love
I've
to do
said,
that. I've got like I mentioned, I am working on a book. So
yeah,
when I have that out, maybe
it
we
would
can
be
talk
amazing to
again.
promote it, yeah, and talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah,
Amazing.
great.
So as I've said, a pleasure to have you, a privilege, and then I thank you for your time, and then
Yeah, thanks
hopefully
for the
sometime in the
invite.
future we'll do this again.
I'll look forward to it, Alex. Appreciate it very much.
Awesome. Talk to you soon, sir.
Okay, see you later.